Maharaj Dhiraj Prithvi Narayan Shah was the last ruler of Gorkha kingdom and first monarch of Kingdom of Nepal. Prithvi Narayan Shah is credited for starting the campaign for the unification of Nepal. He is known as the national builder of modern Nepal, creating a single country by uniting different states divided all over. His Majesty King Prithvi Narayan Shah Dev was the son of the king of the small kingdom of Gorkha, Narabhupal Shah, and Queen Kausalyavati. His mother, Queen Kausalyavati, was the daughter of King of Palpa, Gandharva Sen. She gave birth to Prithvi Narayan Shah and Dalmardan Shah. Prithvi Narayan Shah was born on Thursday 11 January 1723 AD. King Narabhupal Shah had other queens as well. Queen Chandrapavavati was a princess from Gorakhpur, but she was childless. Queen Subhadravati was from Tanahu and she gave birth to Mahoddam Kirti Shah and Daljit Shah. Queen Buddhimati was from Parbat and she gave birth to Sur Pratap Shah. In this way, Prithvi Narayan Shah has 4 brothers. Queen Chandravati took the responsibility to take care of Prithvi Narayan Shah. He was very brave, brilliant, intelligent, and hard-working from his childhood. From the beginning, he was given the knowledge of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and later on, Sukraniti. He was also perfect in archery, sword, horse racing, etc. Around 1732 AD, while he was about 10 years old, Prithvi Narayan Shah was sent to Bhaktapur for his further study. While he was in Bhaktapur, he became a friend with the Prince of Bhaktapur, Bir Narsingh Malla, son of the King of Bhaktapur, Ranjit Malla. He spent almost 3 years in Bhaktapur. He took a good look at the topography of the valley and its economic condition. Around 1736 AD, while he was about 14 years old, he returned to Gorkha, and in the same year, King Narabhupal Shah of Gorkha attacked Nuwakot under the leadership of Jayanta Rana Magar, but was unsuccessful. Qazi Jayanta Rana was released from his duty as a leader after this loss. Jayanta Rana goes to Kantipur, and after some time, Jayanta Rana is given the post to serve Nuwakot under his leadership by Kantipur king Jaya Prakash Malla. In 1738 AD, while he was about 15 years old, he was first married to Indra Kumari, daughter of King Hem Karna Sen, king of Makwanpur. As Makwanpur was a powerful state at that time, the marriage was done for political gain. Because of the early age, Princess Indra Kumari is not sent to Gorkha, and Prithvi Narayan Shah was told to come after 1 year, and he was sent to Gorkha alone. After 1 year, he goes to Makwanpur to pick up his bride. The bride was given 9 Lakhi Har, a jewelry, and 1 tusked elephant, which is considered as a symbol of Lord Ganesh. Prithvi Narayan Shah believes that this 9 Lakhi jewel and 1 tusked elephant was given to him as a dowry, and considered this as his. But the Prince of Makwanpur, Digbandhan Sen, was against this. Due to this conflict, Prithvi Narayan Shah returns to Gorkha without his bride. While returning to Gorkha at Chandragiri Hills, King Prithvi Narayan Shah caught the first glimpse of much scenic and prosperous Kathmandu Valley, which in fact instilled in the king's mind an idea of annexing the valley into his kingdom. Around 1740 AD, at the age of 17, his second marriage was held with Narendra Raja Lakshmi Devi, daughter of Abhiman Singh Rajput of Kaski. Pratap Singh Shah and Bahadur Shah were born from Narendra Lakshmi. His other queens were Ichavati Devi and Dayavati Devi. In 1743 AD, after the death of King Narabhupal Shah, Prithvi Narayan Shah became the king of Gorkha at the age of 20. All the queens of King Narabhupal Shah goes to Sati after his death. As soon as Prithvi Narayan Shah becomes the king of Gorkha in 1743 AD, he attacked Nuwakot, led by Viras Thapa Magar and Maheshwar Panta, but was defeated from Nuwakot. Jayanta Rana Magar was the Qazi of Nuwakot during that time, who used to be the Qazi of Gorkha before. From the trade point of view, Nuwakot was the perfect place, and also Kathmandu Valley depended on Nuwakot for trading purposes. Nuwakot was the colony of Kathmandu and was an important way to trade with Tibet as well. Faced with defeat in the Battle of Nuwakot, Prithvi Narayan Shah went to Banaras to collect the necessary weapons. He got successful in collecting necessary weapons and guns for the war during his stay in Banaras. For this, he gets all the help from his father-in-law, Abhiman Singh, to bring all the weapons from Banaras to Gorkha. Biraj Bakhati played an important role by which Prithvi Narayan Shah got so impressed of him that he wanted to make Biraj Bakhati the Qazi of Gorkha after his return to Gorkha. But after consulting with all his ministers and as the demand of the people of Gorkha, Kalu Pandey is selected as Qazi of Gorkha. On his return to Gorkha from Banaras, Prithvi Narayan Shah first took steps to defeat Nuwakot in the diplomatic film. He entered into a friendly alliance with the chief of Lamjung, whom Gorkha had a long beef for a long period of time. Also, he entered into a friendly alliance with Tanhu and Palpa. This all done, Prithvi Narayan Shah sent an army against Nuwakot from 3 directions. When he was 21 years old, for the second time, Prithvi Narayan Shah attacked Nuwakot in 1744 AD under the command of Kalu Pandey. This time, all the Gorkha youths between the age of 12 and 20 were armed and the number of soldiers were over 1,000. Some of these soldiers were sent to Nuwakot as a farmer for spying. After that, Kalu Pandey sent a letter to Jayanta Rana, who was stationed at Nuwakot for its protection, in which Kalu Pandey asked Jayanta Rana to support Gorkha, as Jayanta Rana was from Gorkha and was an ex-chief of Gorkha as well. Jayanta Rana, however, did not want to betray Nuwakot and dismissed this proposal. Instead, Jayanta Rana reached Kathmandu and demanded more troops and weapons from Kathmandu king, informing them of a possible attack. However, Jaya Prakash Malla, king of Kathmandu, ignores Jayanta Rana's demand, as the biggest festival, Indrajatra, was in full swing in the valley. While Jayanta Rana's son, Sankhamani Rana, was stationed in the security of Nuwakot, during night time, while everyone was sleeping, Prithvi Narayan Shah, Dal Mardan Shah, Chautariya Vishnu Shah, Qazi Sur Pratap Shah, and many others attacked Nuwakot at once. Sankhamani Rana died at the hands of Dal Mardan Shah, and Prithvi Narayan Shah conquered Nuwakot. As the soldiers of Nuwakot had fled to Velkot due to capture of Nuwakot by Gorkhalis, Prithvi Narayan Shah attacked Velkot, ignoring the advice of Kalu Pandey not to attack immediately. Jayanta Rana was arrested there. As Jayanta Rana was from Gorkha and had betrayed Gorkha by joining Nuwakot, Prithvi Narayan Shah gave Jayanta Rana a death penalty by cutting his flesh and skin while he was alive. Nuwakot was one of the colony of Kantipur. After the defeat of Nuwakot, the king of Kantipur, Jaya Prakash Malla, removed his commander Ranabhim Thapa from his post and sent Ranabhim Thapa into jail, as Jaya Prakash Malla believed Ranabhim Thapa might be helping Gorkha. Jaya Prakash Malla is known as the king who does not trust no one and the one who takes decision rapidly without thinking. He makes Kasiram Thapa the Sardar of Kantipur and send him to attack Nuwakot against Gorkha. Due to the modern weapons and guns with Gorkha at that time, Kantipur fails to recapture Nuwakot from Gorkha. Lalitpur and Bhadgaon didn't help Kantipur at this time. Due to this loss, Sardar Kasiram Thapa had some argue with King Jaya Prakash Malla, and Kasiram Thapa is forced to run Banepa. As Kasiram Thapa ran away from war, Jaya Prakash Malla kills Kasiram Thapa in Banepa. After this incident, Parsuram Thapa, the brother of Kasiram Thapa, wants to take a revenge of his brother's death with Jayaprakash Malla, who killed his brother without any reason. Parsuram Thapa starts to protest against Kantipur king Jayaprakash Malla, and he goes to Bhaktapur, where Parsuram Thapa becomes the Sardar of Bhaktapur. In this way, Gorkha took over Nuwakot and protected Nuwakot against Kantipur. This victory over Nuwakot is the first battle won by Gorkha for the unification of Nepal. Lamjung was getting jealous with this victory of Gorkha, and Prithvi Narayan Shah moves his capital to Nuwakot from Gorkha. Jayaprakash Malla started to give different kinds of punishment to all people who ran away from Nuwakot. Jayaprakash Malla was killing everyone who was not with him at that time. Due to these reasons, Jayaprakash Malla was not liked in the palace as well as by the people of the Kantipur. During 1735, when Jayaprakash Malla became the king of Kantipur, at that time as well, his brother Raja Prakash Malla was liked more by the people of Kantipur than Jayaprakash Malla. Due to this, as soon as Jayaprakash Malla becomes the king of Kantipur, he forced his brother and sent him into exile from Kantipur. His brother Jayaprakash Malla was taken refugee by the king of Lalitpur, Vishnu Malla, who was their uncle-in-law as well. As the king of Lalitpur, Vishnu Malla was childless, the brother of Jayaprakash Malla, Raja Prakash Malla, became the king of Lalitpur after the death of Vishnu Malla. Due to this reason, the relationship between Kantipur and Patan was not in good terms. Kantipur was taking control on all the trade routes linked with Tibet. Due to this, Bhaktapur was not happy with Kantipur as well. Bhaktapur was aiding all the fights that was done against Kantipur. Ranjit Malla, king of Bhaktapur, had many illegal wives, and from them he had many sons who were older than the prince Bir Narsingh Malla, and all those illegal sons were against King Ranjit Malla of Bhaktapur. Due to these reasons, the political situation of Kathmandu Valley was not stable. After the conquest of Nuwakot and Velkot, the Gorkhalis captured Lamidada. But the desire of Tanhu to capture Lamidada increased the possibility of the clash between Tanhu and Gorkhalis. Prithvi Narayan Shah sent Guru Gurveshwar Panta with the news that he would make a treaty with the king of Tanhu. Prithvi Narayan Shah thus invited Tribikram Sen to the banks of Trishuli river on the pretext of friendly visit, and then took him into custody. King of Tanhu, Tribikram Sen, was imprisoned in Nuwakot, and Tanhu was officially annexed to the kingdom of Gorkha. In 1753 AD, Tribikram Sen was released as Lamjung, Kaski, Parvat, etc. were likely to be angered by this type of war. In 1755 AD, the Gorkha army had to fight with the combined force of Lamjung and Tanhu. In this war, the Gorkhas suffered heavy loss of life and property. However, Naldum, Dachok, Mahadev Pokhari, Siring Chok, as well as Kulekhani, Ippa, Malta, etc. were captured, and the border of Gorkha reached Makwanpur. Gorkha then captures Farping, Sindhupalchok and Dolakha without any fight. On 1757 AD, May 28, Prithvi Narayan Shah attacked Kirtipur. Kirtipur was not only the colony of Lalitpur, but was situated in the high hills, protected by strong walls and doors all over. There was a public awareness in all the people of Kirtipur, and they were ready to do anything to protect themselves from the capture of Gorkha. Kirti Lakshmi, the daughter of Kirtipur commanders, has played an important role to raise awareness to the people of Kirtipur. There were 1200 soldiers on the Gorkha side. But as Kirtipur asked for help from the troops of Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur, there were about 5,000 soldiers in Kirtipur. After a 6-hour battle between the two sides on the Balkhu river, many Gorkhalis lost their lives. Prithvi Narayan Shah, who was captured in Kirtipur, survived only because of the moral rule that king should not be killed. He made a narrow escape from the battlefield, but his minister, Kalu Pandey, was killed. Pandey's death meant a great loss to the Gorkha. The head of Kalu Pandey was taken to Kirtipur as a trophy and his weapons were hanged in the temple of Bagh Vairab. Kaji Kalu Pandey, who had died in the first battle of Kirtipur, was replaced by his son Vangsaraj Pandey and Kihar Singh Basnet, son of Shivram Singh Basnet. In 1758, Raja Prakash Malla, king of Patan, dies and Biswajit Malla becomes the new king of Patan. To take revenge from Gorkha, the king of Kantipur, Jaya Prakash Malla, plots an idea to kidnap the son of Gorkha king Prithvi Narayan Shah, Crown Pratap Singh Shah, who was around 10 years at that time, while the prince goes to Chisopani while hunting, but was unsuccessful kidnapping the young prince. As a result, in 1759 AD, Prithvi Narayan Shah attacks and wins Sivapuri and Kavre that was under the rule of Kantipur. In the front phrase, Pasuram Thapa, who was a Sardar of Bhaktapur, helps Gorkha win the fight against Kantipur, while from the back, Pasuram Thapa sends his brother to Kaski to conspire against Prithvi Narayan Shah in Baise and Chaubise states. This character of Bhaktapur Sardar, Pasuram Thapa, clearly shows that he was plotting against Prithvi Narayan Shah. To capture Pasuram Thapa, Prithvi Narayan Shah requests the king of Bhaktapur, Ranjit Malla, but Ranjit Malla denies it and takes a side of his Sardar, Pasuram Thapa. Due to this, there starts a conflict between Bhaktapur and Gorkha as well. In 1760, Gorkha attacks and wins over Palanchok that was under the rule of Bhaktapur. Gorkha takes control over Kavre as well, that was under the rule of Bhaktapur. In Makwanpur, Prithvi Narayan Shah's father-in-law, King Hemkarna Sen, dies and his son Digbandhan Sen becomes the new king of Makwanpur. In Patan as well, there arises a conflict between King Biswajit Malla and his chief minister, and King Biswajit Malla is sentenced to death by his minister as he was having illegal affair with one of the daughter of minister, and King of Kantipur, Jaya Prakash Malla, is selected as the new king of Patan. To win over Kantipur, it was necessary to win over Makwanpur. In 1762 AD, a large number of troops organized by Vangsaraj Pandey and Kihar Singh as well as Mohaddam Kirti Saha, Dal Mardam Saha, Sur Pratap Saha, Nandu Saha and Daljit Saha attacked Makwanpur. The battle lasted for 10 hours and finally King of Makwanpur, Digbandhan Sen, surrendered. He was brought to Nuwakot and was sent to prison. In 1763 AD, in order to help Digbandhan Sen, King Trivikram Sen of Tanahu, King Mukunda Sen II of Palpa, and a joint army of King Siddhanarayan Saha of Kaski attacked and loot Harmi, Birkot, Thapkot, Shwangali, Dhaurali, Lankankot that was under Gorkha kingdom. During the same year, Crown Prince of Bhaktapur, Bir Narsingh Malla, who was a friend of Prithvi Narayan Shah and son of Bhaktapur king Ranjit Malla, was conspired to death by his own step-brothers. In 1763 AD, Gorkha successfully captured Dhulikel. After a few days, Gorkha captures Panauti, Banepa, Sangha, Nala and Ranikot as well. In 1763 AD, Jaya Prakash Malla is removed as the king of Patan and the power is all taken by the ministers. Patan was struggling from the blockade done by Gorkha, so they want Prithvi Narayan Shah to overtake Patan and remove the ongoing blockade. Prithvi Narayan Shah proposed Patan that Patan should allow the Gorkhalis to enter Patan, which the minister of Patan denies. Finally, Prithvi Narayan Shah agrees to send his brother Dal Mardan Shah to Patan, whereas the son of minister was sent to Nuwakot. In this way, in 1764, Dal Mardan Shah, brother of King Prithvi Narayan Shah, becomes the king of Patan. Although Dal Mardan Shah was a king of Patan, he was nothing more than a political prisoner. And also, the blockade of Patan has not been removed by the king of Gorkha, Prithvi Narayan Shah. In 1764 AD, the second attack of Kirtipur was led by Sur Pratap Shah, Daljit Shah and Sri Harsha Panta. Although Kirtipur did not receive any military support from the valley as before, but the people of Kirtipur did not allow the Gorkha soldiers to break through the fort and enter Kirtipur. In this battle, Sur Pratap's eyes was blinded by Kirtipur and Gorkha troops were forced to return. The people of Kirtipur beat off the Gorkhalis again, raining stones on the invaders from the town wall. In 1767, the king of Gorkha sent his army to attack Kirtipur a third time under the command of Sur Pratap. In response, the three kings of Nepal joined forces and sent their troops to the relief of Kirtipur, but they could not dislodge the Gorkhalis from their position. A noble of Kantipur named Dhanuvanta crossed over to Shah's side and treacherously led the Gorkhalis into the town. The inhabitants could have fought on, but exhausted by the prolonged siege and assured by Shah's promise of an amnesty, they surrendered. After several months of this blockade, the people of Kirtipur could not even get water to drink and were forced to surrender to the Gorkha army. 2 days later, enraged by the losses inflicted on his army and the injury done to his brother during the war, Prithvi Narayan Shah had his army cut off the nose and lips of many people of Kirtipur. Kirti Lakshmi, a Newar woman of Kirtipur, fought the invaders disguised as a man named Bhairab Singh. Armed with a bow and arrow, she kept fighting even after the Gorkhalis had taken the town. She was finally captured and kept in captivity, where she took her own life. She is honored as the heroine of Kirtipur. The Gorkhalis fought for 6 months with the people of Dhulikhel. After this, Prithvi Narayan Shah built a fort on the top of the mountain south of Chaukut and collected a large number of troops. On consulting with his followers, he was told by the Qazis that small villages were easily taken, as the people fled when they heard the shouts of the assailants. But the village of Chaukut required special military skills. After this, consultation of the troops blockaded Chaukut. Some of the people fled to Putan by way of Bastol and others to their own places. Attack on Kandipur. As Prithvi Narayan Shah laid siege to the valley from all sides, there was an extreme economic crisis in Kathmandu valley. King Jayaprakash Malla of Kathmandu was also hard-hearted, arrogant and conceited. The queen and her friends angrily removed him and made his son Rajyaprakash as king of Kantipur. But later he regained his power, but he did not get the sympathy of his son, queen and nobles. The people were outraged by the expense made by King Jayaprakash Malla to maintain his power, and the soldiers of Kantipur were frustrated as the king was spending much more higher salaries to foreign soldiers. Realizing this situation, Prithvi Narayan Shah attacked Naradevi, Dhulikhel and Bhimsen Than on 26 September 1768 AD during the festival Indra Jatra at night and conquered Kantipur. King Jayaprakash Malla fled and took refuge in Raja Tej Narsingh Malla of Lalitpur. 7th October 1768 AD, Prithvi Narayan Shah sent Dhanuvanta and Kihar Singh to Lalitpur for the surrender of Lalitpur. He promised the nobles of Lalitpur that they would be allowed to keep their property. In fact, they would get more if they accept Prithvi Narayan Shah as their king. This secret negotiation convinced the Malla kings of Lalitpur and Kathmandu that they are going to be betrayed, and they fled to Bhaktapur. The king of Patan ran away without any fight. After Prithvi Narayan Shah took Lalitpur, he treated the traitorous nobles appreciatively for a time. Then one day, he called them to a meeting at the riverbank of Tegu on the outskirts of the city. There, all the Pradhan nobles were captured and killed. King Jayaprakash Malla of Kathmandu and King Tej Narsingha Malla of Lalitpur fled and took refuge with King Ranjit Malla of Bhaktapur. The three kings joined forces to do battle with the Gorkhali army, but they were defeated again due to the betrayal by the nobles. The soldier of the treacherous nobles opened the city gates and led the Gorkhalis in. Shah troops possessed muskets in addition to sword and bow and arrow. There was fierce fighting in front of the palace, but the invaders finally broke through the gates. Shah troops captured Bhaktapur on the night of November 25, 1769. They killed 2001 people and set 501 houses on fire. In the same battle, Jayaprakash Malla was shot in the leg. According to his wish, Prithvi Narayan Shah arranged Jayaprakash Malla to go to Pasupati. King of Bhaktapur, Ranjit Malla, 67 years old, was arranged to stay in Kasi as per his wish. He died 18 months after arriving there. As King Tej Narsingh Malla of Lalitpur did not express any wish, he was imprisoned for life in Bhaktapur Darbar. The conquest of Bhaktapur marked the end of the Malla dynasty and the rise of Shah dynasty in Nepal. After the conquest of three cities in the valley, Prithvi Narayan Shah sent an army led by Vangsaraj Pandey and Kihar Singh Basnet in 1771 to conquer 24 kingdoms in the west. During the 16-hour-long battle, more than 500 Gorkhalis, including Kihar Singh Basnet, were killed, and generals like Vangsaraj Pandey and Prabhu Malla fell into the hands of the enemy. Ranbir Pandey and Prabhu Malla surrendered their weapons to the enemy and took the rest of the soldiers to Kathmandu in despair. Prithvi Narayan Shah terminated the jobs of those who surrendered their weapons to the enemy and took ₹60 for the price of a gun. This defeat hurt the ambitious dignity and prestige of the Gorkhalis and aroused in the enemies a defensive feeling that victory could be achieved if they fought hard against the Gorkhas. In 1774 AD, Prithvi Narayan Shah, who had gone to Nuwakot to avoid a winter in mid-November, fell ill at the Nuwakot palace. As his health deteriorated, he was taken to Devigat as per his wish. He remained at the pyre for 9 days and died on January 22 at 7 a.m. It is also mentioned that he died after being seriously injured in a tiger attack while going hunting. While on the deathbed, he gave lectures on Nepal's geopolitical situation, social life, defense and development, also known as the Divine Sermon or simply Divyopadesh. The message and vision of Prithvi Narayan Shah is still relevant today as a nation is suffering from political crisis. Prithvi Narayan Shah had told his people not to let foreign merchants to enter Nepal. The purchase of goods and services from foreign merchants will result in economic loss to country. Instead, it will be affordable to make and buy and sell products in the country. It will stop outward flow of nation currency. He told that justice should not be denied to anyone and injustice does not have any place in his kingdom. He told that person taking bribe and giving bribe are both the enemies of the nation. He envisaged the Nepal as a garden of 4 castes and 36 varnas. Nepal is like a yam between two stones. The king of the south is very clever. Do not start the war, but finish the war if anyone starts. He died at the age of 52 on the day of Maghe Sangranti at Mohan Tirtha or Devi Ghat, the confluence of the Trishuli and Tadi river in Nuwakot district. Upon his death, his son Pratap Singh Shah succeeded him, and his unification campaign was continued by his younger son Bahadur Shah. Thank you.